Hi everyone. In this lesson we are going to be joined by a chap called Sumit Bashrashara, and he is from Nepal, and he has created a neat little app that allows us to play on a piano the tune of Christmas Jingle, and then once you finish playing the tune, Santa appears. And we did this as a live session, and I'm just going to hand over to Sumit now. When we do the full session, I'm going to deliver the training because we had a few audio issues along the way. If you like this sort of thing, then make sure you head to powerplatformlearn.com, because if you do that, then what you'll actually be able to do is you'll be able to navigate to the course that I've put together. You go onto courses, then you go to Power Apps for Kids, and that will take you to this course. Now, you can actually just watch the course if you want to, but if you sign up for it, then you will know that you've made your progress, and it'll also resume the videos at the right stage. So I hope you found this useful, and we'll just hand back to the rest of the lesson. Hi everyone, I'm joined here today by Sumit. Now, Sumit is from Nepal, and it's really cool that we connected on Twitter, and he agreed that he would like to put together for us a Christmas app. Now, Sumit's app is really cool. I've seen it already, and he's going to do a live build of this app. And what I'm going to do is now say hi to Sumit. Thanks for joining us. And perhaps you could give us an idea of this app that you've put together for us. What does it do?
Okay, thank you, Rory. So it's basically an app where it's a musical app and you have a piano over there. So when you play Jingle Bell over there, and once you complete the whole code of the Jingle Bell, Santa will appear at your windows. So it's kind of like you are calling Santa to your windows by playing the music. So yeah.
Yeah, and I quite like the idea that, it would be kind of neat to do a Christmas card, but at the same time, it's quite neat to do something else. And this is a really lovely app, and I love the fact that you've put it together the way you have. Where did you get the music from? Where did you get the musical notes from?
Yeah, it's just available on the internet, but it's available on the GitHub repo of Rory as well if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch over. We're going to do a demo of the final app that you will create if you follow through this tutorial. So we're going to dive over and have a look at that now. Sumit, take it away.
Okay. So this is our Jingle Bell app. It's a musical app where if we press the right notes at the end, the Santa will appear at the window. So this is the notes that we are going to follow. But since there are lots of E's, you might get missed. So this is something that you can follow to learn the notes. So let's start.
I think you've missed a note along the way.
Oops, I think I missed. Yeah, I missed.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, you got to do. It's not that easy, is it? Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start in office.com, and once I've gone to the icon down at the bottom here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to then move over to Power Apps. So I'm going to click on Power Apps. That's going to take me to my version of make.powerapps.com, and then I can go and start searching for the right environment. So I'm just going to make this screen a bit bigger for me, and I can select the environment and I can move over to my Power Apps for Kids environment, and I'm going to build this app from blank. So we're going to build a canvas app from blank. I'm going to select on there. I'm going to call it Christmas Jingle. And I'll just click create on that. And now it's going to create a little empty space in which I can build this app. Now, as well as all of the neat things we've got going on here, we've actually got some data that you can use in order to create your app. Now, the first thing that we're going to do in the app is we're going to effectively bring a background into the app for us. So I'm going to go onto the screen. There's my background image, but I'm not actually going to use the background image in the normal way of doing things. So I'm actually going to go and I'm going to click F11 on that, and I'm actually going to go and search for this on GitHub. It's just a place on the internet. So if I go to github.com and go to Power Apps for Kids, then that takes me to repositories which have got the images and the data that I need. So what I can do is I can get onto games, and then once I'm in games, I can go on to Santa Piano. Now, once I'm in Santa Piano, I've got this image here. It's actually called image.jpg. And if I click on the image, that is our background. You can see it's our background. Now, if I right click on download and go copy link address, in fact, what you'll actually see is if you actually go to download, it doesn't actually download it straight away. But what it does is it gives you the URL, this special bit of text here, which takes you to the right place. So if you select on that and then right click and then copy, then go back to your app. In fact, it's not that one. Go back to your app, and where it says background image, you do quote, paste, quote, and in comes your image. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it fill the space, so it's all nice. So if I click on the play, you can see it fills the screen. That's great. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to build our keyboard. So what I'm going to do is I am going to insert a gallery, and I'm going to insert a horizontal gallery. Now I am going to cheat a little bit on this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my keys fit into this little space here. So what I'm going to do is I need a data set. I need my notes. So what I need to do is I need to say, well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to cheat on this. I'm actually going to do quote, and then I'm going to do C, and then I'm going to go all the way up to G. And if I do the closing of this funny square bracket here, it's a square bracket I need, then what that means is that we have got what we need here. Now on this layout, it says title and subtitle. Well, actually, I'm going to say blank. Just make it blank. It's fine. But what I'm then going to do is going to make you nice and small, and I'm going to make this bit small. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put a button into this space here. In fact, I did it incorrectly. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to click on here. If you hit the plus and you go onto button, you can drag that button onto the screen. Now this is strange, isn't it? We've got two buttons, but I only dragged one button on. Now the reason for that is that it's got one button per letter. So what I can do is instead of it saying button, where you can see it says text. So I'm going to go onto the text on this area here, and I'm going to say this item dot value, and the value is actually C and D. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand those out, and we're going to start to make this look a bit more like a keyboard. So I'm going to grab that. I'm also going to make it a little bit smaller. Now, just notice that you have to click on the right thing in order to make this all work. So there's my keys. Now I need to do a little bit of formatting. So I'm going to change the color. So my fill is going to be white and my text is going to be black. So I'm just going to go onto the text. That's changed the color. Now, I think there's a way of us actually making this vertical align. And if I actually go vertical align and then do bottom, then all of these things will go down to the bottom. So that's quite nice. Now the other thing I'm going to do is they have this funny thing called border radius, and that really means the amount to which it's curved around here. Now in reality I quite like the top bit as being square and the bottom bit as being rounded. It'd be a bit more like a keyboard. So I'm gonna have a bit of fun here, and if I actually click on this, then what I can actually do is the radiuses, you have more than one. So I need to just, so radius bottom left, that's fine, radius top left. Now I actually want the top left and the top right, and I'm going to make that 0. Oops, that's 100. I'm going to make that 0, and I'm going to make the, that hasn't done that, 0, and I'm going to make the radius top right, that's also going to be 0. So that means it's now square on the top and curved on the bottom. So we just did the items with C and D, but watch what happens when I start to add more things in here. I can do quote E and then quote F, and what you'll see is that more letters start to come in. G and then A. Oops. Comma A. And let's just see if that's working okay. Now one of those wasn't quite correct, and I'll do a quote there. And so now we've got all of the letters that we need in order for this to work. So I'm now going to move that across here. That's nice. And what you can do is you can actually just put some black keys in, but they're not actually going to do anything in this case. So we are, it's a bit of a cheat what we're going to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another label. What I'm going to do is pop that over there, make it nice and small, and now the two of them don't really understand that each other exists. So I'm going to pop that on there because there is a C sharp, but there isn't. But there are certain ones where there isn't one in between the two. So there isn't an E sharp or an F flat. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go onto the color, and then I'm just going to change the fill to be black. So I've now got a black key, which is a bit more like on a piano. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to copy that and paste it a few times, because I need a few of these on here to have a real looking keyboard. So I can pop that there, and also I think I maybe have done just one too many. Now I need to remind myself of how to do these. So I think that is all I need. I feel like I'm missing one, but I think I've just about got it right. In fact, the final one would just go here because there is a B flat. So in theory, and maybe just to make this look a bit nicer, maybe we would put in the B there as well. There we are. And if I expand that out, then that will disappear. So we have created our keyboard. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, there is actually an image that we've got on GitHub, which is the letters that we're actually going to be playing. So, so if I go on to the jingle song, what you'll actually be able to see is if we go on there, then we can actually see the letters that we need to play. So if I click on download again, and then I go up there and do right click copy, go on to here, back off there. I don't need that anymore, and I'll just move that away. And then what I'll do is I will do insert an image, which is here, and then image, and then drag that down over there and move across like this. And then what I'm going to do is where it says sample image, I'm going to do quote, Control V, and then another quote. So instead of doing Control V, I could have done right click and paste. So it would have been quote, and then right click. In fact, I couldn't do paste actually, so it would have to be Control V to get that in there. and so paste that in like that. So that's our song that we're going to be playing. Now notice that if I move this across, then the black keys don't actually move. So I would actually need to kind of get these, and I would need to select them, and then I would need to drag them across because they don't relate to the keyboard at all. So what I'm going to do is make this a little bit bigger. So that is the tune that we're going to play. Now, we also need some music. So what we want to do is that when we click on the key, we want it to play a sound. So where are we going to get the sound from? We're going to go back to GitHub, and we are going to go onto the Santa piano, and we can see that we've got a key of, in fact, I'll start with C. So I'm going to click on C and then go to download, and you can actually see that if I press play on that, then it will play. Now, as it happens, it doesn't actually want to play when I click play on here, but once we get it into Paramps, we should see that it will play for us. So I'm going to do copy of that, then I'm going to move back to my Christmas jingle, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert an audio. So if I go onto the plus, and then I'll do audio, type in AU, and then drag that onto the screen, then we've got a sample audio. So we can actually see that playing. That's no use to us because we want our audio. So I'll click into there, and where it says sample audio, I'll do quote, quote, Control V, quote. Now you can download these if you wish and bring them on in a slightly different way. I'll show you that in a moment. But first of all, I'm just going to show you the note playing. There you are. That is the note C. Now what we're going to do is something a little bit more clever, and what we're going to do is we are going to get the fact that we're clicking on here to drive a different note each time. So let's try that one out. What I'm going to do is, and I'm just going to go on here and give this gallery a better name. So I'm going to click on the tree view so we can see all of these things here. So not great names at the moment. So I'm going to call this gal notes. Gallery with some notes in. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to click on this, and then where it says C here, I'm going to do another quote here, then this funny thing called an ampersand, and then I'm going to put in another quote. Now that's going to do exactly the same note. Exactly the same note. But what we're going to do this time is we're actually going to look at the thing that's been selected here. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go on there, and instead of doing it C, I'm going to do it as and I'll do a space, and then I'll say gal notes dot selected dot, and I'll do value, because the value is C, D, E, F, etc. What I then have to do is another ampersand and then a quote. And what that means is that when we click the play button, it'll be whichever one we have selected on. So this should give us another note. Now that's nice. But the problem that we've got is that we haven't got the note to tell the audio to play. So how are we going to do that? Well, the way in which we're going to do that is we're going to go onto here, and we're going to go onto the play. Let's go on to, it's the start. So I'm going to go on to start. Start is what kicks this thing off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a variable to make this thing start. So what I'm going to do is going to go onto the button, and I'm going to change the name of this, and I'm going to call it BTN note, just so that we know what that thing is. So what I'm going to do now is click back onto the audio control, onto where it says start, and in fact I can't do that just yet. Onto the button, make sure you clicked on the button, and then click down, and what we're looking for is the on select. In fact, you can get to the on select by going to actions and on select there. That will that will get you there. Now, if it says select parent, then it's not going to do anything. But if you go set GV start audio to be true, so that's going to say set GV audio to be true. And what I'm going to do with that on the audio is on the start is I'm going to say GV start audio. So that should mean that when we click on it, it will actually start the audio. So I'm going to click on it now. So that worked. There's a big problem though, because it doesn't reset itself. And that doesn't help us at all. Because if we want to click the note twice, then oh, it is actually going to do it. Well, that's great. Well, I won't worry about that. I'm going to click it twice then. Yeah, if you click it twice, you have a problem because it doesn't change the note. So what I'm going to do is when it gets to the end of the note, I'm going to actually see if I can. I might have to play around with this. In fact, on this GV Start audio, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to do it twice. So I'm going to set the audio to be false. So don't play, and then it's going to be do play. So that should mean it will always play. That's fantastic. So that means now we have a little piano. Not bad. That's one part of the process. The next part of the process is that we need to be able to have a way of it telling us what to play. Now, what I need to do with that is I need to get all of these letters, and effectively I need to write them out. So what I really need is a big long list of all of these letters. So what I'm going to do is go to one I prepared earlier, and I will give you this information here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take this information out here, and I'm going to grab that there, and I'm going to show you how this thing works. So what we need to do is I'm just going to demonstrate that this information is useful to us. So I'm going to insert a data table, and in that data table the items is going to be table. You don't need to do this, by the way. I just want to demonstrate what we're actually doing, and I'm just going to paste that in and then close the brackets. Now that I've done this, I'm going to show you that in this data table we've actually got some information. So I'll put add field and then put this value field in, click add, and then it should show that if I go on to the fill property of this, then we should see that we've got lots of letters, white. So this is all of these letters. This is all of the things that we want to play. But, you know, it's not a really nice way of us looking at this. So what we want to do is something a bit more clever than that. So what we're going to do is we are going to use this same idea here. So if we actually look at the items, it's written in a very funny way. So if I go on to the items here, we can see that there's a big long list of items. So if I copy that, and you will be able to get the way of downloading this as part of the resources, then what I can do is I can go on here and I can then put a text box in. So I'll put a label in and then drag it over here, and also make the coloring something useful to us. So I'm going to make the coloring, I'm going to make it white. In fact, that's the fill property. So I'm going to make that transparent. I'm going to make the color property white. Then what I'm going to do is center it, and then maybe make it a bit bigger. So maybe make it 30. That's telling us the note that we want to play. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to say, well, which one am I going to tell it? So I'm going to paste this in here, but there's a problem. So the problem is that what we've given it is a table, and what it wants is text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the formula that I'm using here. So the next bit is actually quite tricky. So I'm going to do something which is called first n. First n. So here we go. I'm going to wrap it in something called first n. First n. So first n, and then you have to tell it how many you're going to look at. So let's just say, let's just say 2, and then close the bracket. But we still got a problem because all we've done is we've just spat out EE. That's all it's going to do. So if I copy that and put it into that data table and go in there and on the items and I do first N2, what we can see is we've got EE, which is still no use to us. So what we want to do is we want to get the last one of those letters. So I'm going to do last, open the brackets, then go on to here and then close the brackets again and then do dot and then value, and then it'll take the last letter. Now what we're going to do in this is we're actually going to do something special in this area, and that is so that we can tell someone if they've done the correct note or not. So what I need to do is, I think there's 52 letters in this, by the way, in the song that we've done. So what we need to do is we need to have a little variable to start with. So if the value was a 1, then we would be expecting to do an E. That's our first note. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go onto the C letter. It's a bit strange, but what we're also going to do is we're going to say if, in fact, I need to do a little semicolon up here. We're going to say if this item dot value, which is the letter, equals, and I think it's called label. In fact, I'm going to click on this to find out the name of the label, and I'm going to call it label. I'm going to call it label note. So I'm going to go back on there and I'm going to say if this item value equals label note dot text, then what is it going to do? It's going to set is correct to be is correct plus 1. So if I close, it's not happy right now, but it'll be happy in a second. So I'll close the brackets there and then close the brackets again. So if it's the same note, then it'll add 1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to bring in another label. In fact, I'm going to change the theme to make it a dark theme. It won't be a problem for us. So I'm going to go home, theme. I'm just going to go to a dark theme. Then that will mean that when I bring things in, it'll be easier to see it. So I'll insert a label and then drag that down there, and I will do is correct. And what we'll be able to see is that it doesn't say anything at the moment, but if I click on the if I click on C, well, it's actually going to play a note, but that's actually not correct. But if I click on E, then you can see the number at the bottom is gradually moving upwards. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to go onto this and just make it nice and big. Let's make it 30. So that's nice and big and easy for us to see. I'm just going to go onto the text on here because it's visible and I want to make it invisible. So I'll make it transparent. That's gone away. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to do a little restart for this little app that we're making. So I want to make the start note is going to be 1. So I'm going to go click oh, that was incorrect. I'll undo that. And in fact, I'll just delete it. So I'm going to click off there and then bring a button onto the page. And I'm going to say restart. Restart. And what I'm going to do with that button is on select set GV. Oh, I didn't call it GV. I called it, check on my formula. Is correct. Set is correct to be 1. Now the other thing that we should do is we should copy that formula, Control A, and then Control C, and then click on the app, because on start that's also something we want it to do. We want it to be ready to start. So now that we've done that, we can then get ourselves ready. So if I click on restart, it's all ready to go. And what that means is we can now keep clicking through these, and we should start to see the app working correctly. Oh, and it looks like I've made my first mistake here, because look at this. Let's go on to here, and what we've got is the value is 1, and it's hard coded, but we want it to be our special number, which is correct. So if I click on is correct, it's now going to be the right value. So let's see what happens if I click F. Not working, is it? So if I do a G, it's ready. Jingle all the way. There you are. So it's starting to work. So we've now got this thing, so it's nearly ready to go. And we could see all those numbers working themselves out. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make something happen once we get to the end. Now I can tell you that the end is when we get to 52 notes played. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to bring in some media, click an image, drag it onto the page here. In fact, I know which the image that we're actually going to go and get hold of, because we're actually going to go into this Merry Christmas piano. In fact, it's the GitHub here. Hit the back button, because what we're looking for is we are looking for this Santa Claus image here. That's this one here. Click on download, do Control C or copy. But what we will need to do is when we go onto Christmas jingle, then go onto the image, do a quote, paste, quote, and then this is coming in, which is great. Then we're going to do another image. Now I'm going to cheat on this one, because I'm going to go on there and I'm going to go and take a look at the next one. So we've got a GIF, and a GIF is a special type of image that is moving all the time. So this bit at the end is the only thing that changes. So we're going to have Merry Christmas.gif. So I'm going to go onto there, and it should say Merry Christmas.gif, and that'll work. Now that's not quite what we need yet, because we want this to appear right at the end. So I'm going to click on this, going to make this jump in here, and then what I'm going to do is make this visible if is correct is going to be greater than or equal to 52. So it's not got to 52 yet, because it's on 12 at the moment, and that takes us to the end of this. What I'm now going to do is I'm now going to hand over to Sumit, and he will demo the app. It's just a repeat of the previous demo that we've seen. Now there is one little cool thing that we'll do before the handover, is we want to actually do something a little bit nicer. On the button there, what we could do is we can go onto the fill property of the button, and we can change that, because what we're going to do is if it says C, we might want to make it a light grey so you know what to press. So if this item dot value equals, and then it's label note dot text, then make it light. I like light grey. Otherwise make it white, and then close the brackets. So what that means now is really quickly we were able to completely change how this works. So if I hit the restart on this, it says, now Now the only thing on that is I notice that the colour of the hover has actually not been really that helpful to us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto the hover fill, and I'm going to make it self.fill. And I think there's a pressed fill as well. Pressed fill. And I'm just going to make that self.fill as well. And so what that should mean is, and it's the colour's not amazing, but it's just enough. I'll maybe make it a darker grey. So I'm just going to click on that. You see it gone to G and then C, D, E. So you can see that makes it actually a lot easier for us to play. As I say, just being difficult with this, I would actually go onto the fill property of this, and then I would actually probably make it grey. This is the fun stuff that you can do once you've actually got things working. So you can see. I like this now. Oh, that is good fun, isn't it? Okay, brilliant. So I'm now going to hand over to Sumit, and we're just going to have a little chat to finish this off. Thanks, Sumit, for coming on and sharing this with us. And, please share any, ideas that you may have in the future with us, because we'd love to hear all about them.
Yeah, definitely, Rory, definitely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
I guess you have to like lots of editing over here.